clip of that in just a bit. We got
We are
Justin back.
ready.
Yep, got Justin back. Justin Barnhart, Marion and Rawls area, running
Right.
for House Rep District number 5. And I guess the first question, Justin, why are you running? What's going on? What are you thinking?
Man, can you hear me good?
Perfect.
Perfect. Yeah. So there's so many things, right? I don't know if we have enough time in this show to do this, but one of the things that really our government. Let me just say this: our government, even whether that's federal government, state government, they have entirely too much control, Rob. Entirely too much control. They nearly control every aspect of our lives, every aspect of our lives. So one of the biggest things that I'm trying to do, that I'm wanting to do, and that I will do if I'm elected, is limit our government. We've got to limit the power that our government has over us. There's a few other things too, but you know, I've been watching your show this morning concerning the election integrities, and that's another thing that I see an issue with, is the way that our elections are done. Then we've got our Amendment 3 that was passed last year, and you know, the truth is, when you start looking at who voted for that and who really carried that, you know, it's almost like you got St. Louis, Kansas City, and Columbia that nearly carried that. And it's almost like no one else in the state had a say in it, although they was allowed to vote in it. But I think something needs to change with that too. There needs to be some serious IP reform but listen, every time IP reform goes up, it seems like it gets killed. You know, it really, the truth of the matter is, every time you see good conservative legislation go up, it gets knocked down. And that's primarily because the special interest groups have got total control, it seems like, over Jeff City. And so, you know, those are just a few things that I've got going on. And the other thing is a lot of folks, Rob, and this isn't a stab at anyone, but I want to make sure this is clear to the listeners, is a lot of folks run for office and say that they're one party that they're not. They'll
Right.
run. That's right, Rob. And they'll run as a Republican because the area that they're in is Republican. They know that's the only way they can win. The truth of it is I've been a Republican all my life. All my life. I was raised in a Republican home, conservative values, Christian values. You know, so, and that's who I am. I've been that way for the last 36 years. You know, a conservative Republican. That's exactly who I am. I've served people, Rob, for, oh Lord, a long time, 13, 15, 16 years, from whether that be in the religious sector or I run a shelter workshop in Hannibal, and where we employ individuals with disabilities. And so I've served them. I've been serving them the last 5 or 6 years. I have evangelized the gospel in many different states: Florida, Texas, Illinois, Missouri, Louisiana. And I'm serving people. That's just what I do, Rob. I mean, it's just something that's in me. I've always done that. And now I'm ready to serve the people of this state in this district. So,
Well, I love it. I do. And I like where you're conceptually, we're on the same page with what you're talking about. Because one of the problems I see is the government has just way too much power over lives. I was looking through the app, and one of our listeners, you know, we're talking about these red light cameras where if you go through the red light, they can send you a ticket in the mail.
yeah.
And the
Yeah.
person in the app said, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, what's the problem? And I keep thinking to myself that the fact that you think that way is the problem. The government does not have the right to surveil me, whether you like it, don't like it.
Right.
We have a constitutional right to privacy. If you want to live that way, if you think that's a good way to live, just go to China. China surveils if you're going to the bathroom, China wants to get a video of it. They videotape and surveil every move you make in their cities in China. If that's what you want to come to America, that's fine. I'm going to vote against everybody that wants to make government bigger, and I'm going to vote for the people that want to give power back to its citizens. So when you say shrink the government, I'm 100% down with it. Have you been following election security? Have you been following these types of things? Are you aware of the controversy that's been going on in the state of Missouri? This woman, Allie Grafe, sued former Secretary of State Ashcroft because she says that the elections that we run in the state of Missouri aren't legal. They're not following statute. Are you aware of these things? Because nobody's doing anything about it.
Yeah, well, no, they're not going to do anything about it because it benefits those that have got it screwed up, Rob. It's so. I was talking to someone this morning actually, and we were talking about how the nonpartisan elections are like in our small municipalities. People go and they vote for folks. Let's take our school board for example, like down in Kansas City, Missouri. You go vote for someone on the school board, you have no idea, Rob, if they are Democrat or Republican. Okay, you have no idea. That happens in many municipalities around here in Missouri. So you don't know what you're voting for. But the other issue with it is they're having these local elections like that in April and June.
Right.
Okay, why can't we hold all of these elections in August and November like everything else? You know. And so, for example, we just had our Marion County just had their mayor election in April. All right. Which, by the way, that mayor says that he is going to remove the cameras from the red lights here. I believe that's happened. I'm not 100% sure, but I have seen a lot of talk about that. But the thing is, 100% of the Democrat Party in this state does not want our elections to move to November and or August and November. They don't want it. They continue to win this way. And the truth is the Democrats have done nothing for our state. They've done nothing for our country except tax us to death, get into our lives, get into our business. But you mentioned something earlier. I was listening to you when you were talking to that previous guest, Clint, something about propaganda. You'd mentioned about propaganda. But the thing is, that's what goes on in North Korea, okay? So if the government's going to start all the propaganda business here, it won't be long. We'll become just another North Korea.
Well, that's right. That's my
Mm-hmm.
fear. That's what I don't think people quite understand. That, if you don't study propaganda, and I don't know if you do, Justin, but I studied propaganda because I was fascinated by it. I've told the story,
Yeah.
and people hate when I tell stories when I have guests on, but very quickly, I was in fourth grade. I had a fourth grade teacher that was showing the Nazi Germany and showing the Holocaust victims. And, I remember the emaciated bodies, they were being flipped over in tractors and thrown into a ditch.
Yep.
And I'm 10 years old. And I thought to myself, at 10 years old, you can't wrap your brain around it. So I remember asking the teacher how, her name was Mrs. Moore, Kratz Elementary. She's still alive. She was fantastic. And she started explaining to me about propaganda. She gave me books to read about propaganda. And I'm 10, 11 years old reading these things. And I started to
Yep.
understand that through propaganda, you could change the perception of society. But then
Yep.
you lose track of it, right? I get into the world, I get propagandized, and it's so powerful, you don't even know that it's happening to you. And I see people like on the app every day, I can tell their commentary is it's something, they're repeating something they've heard, not something they've thought through.
Sure.
And
That's exactly right.
that's prevalent in this country. And it scares me because now you get into a situation where whoever's giving you the information determines what you're thinking. So if I have 50 different media outlets with 50 different narratives, all of a sudden I
Yep.
got 50 different segments of people that are all arguing with one another because they think they have the keys to knowledge when they've been propagandized and they never even thought about thinking through these things on their own.
Rob, that same thing happened with Amendment 3. Okay. You could not go to your mailbox without pulling something out that all these leftist liberal Democrats has pushed, saying that if you don't pass Amendment 3, nobody's going to have health care and all this nonsense. Okay. So when you go into to vote, you've got a dozen things there on one ballot, and you've got to vote yes or no, one way or the other. Whether you agree with some of it or disagree with some of it, you've got to vote yes or no with one way or the other. But the whole thing that the Democrats was using, okay, to push that agenda was if you don't vote for it, you don't have health care. Rob, that is nonsense. That is nonsense. And I'm gonna just say this, and I say it, I'm a very open guy, I'm a very blunt guy, but here's the deal. We cannot pass anything like that promotes the slaughter of the unborn, Rob. We cannot do that. We can't do it. Um, there's someone that I know very personally that is 100% behind the abortion, and the thing is, you cannot take the lives of our children. This is what it says. It says that everyone has the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. The moment you take someone's life, especially the unborn, you just strip them of every right that our Constitution gives us, that our the Declaration of Independence mentions. You just stripped them of everything. We cannot continue to slaughter the unborn. Now I know that's going back on the ballot next year, but again, you got St. Louis, Columbia, and
Right.
Kansas City. What are we doing? I mean, so before a lot of things can change, you've got to change the way that this voting thing works. That's something that guy mentioned earlier, Clint, was about being able to manipulate the electronic voting thing. If we go back to paper ballots, okay, here in Ross County, you fill out a paper ballot, okay, You stick it in a machine and it does its business. The issue that I have with the actual voting machine, when you walk into it and press the buttons and hit submit, Rob, that's a machine. You can tell that thing what to do and what not to do. It has no
Exactly.
brain of its own, right? And we saw that in 2020, and I know a lot of folks don't want to believe that, but we saw that then.
Well, this audience
But
agrees
I
with
don't.
you, Justin. I'm going to give you one more
Hey,
segment
Rob.
too.
But
Let me
yeah,
give you one
go
more
ahead.
segment. We got to take a break. The music's playing.
Sure.
Let's take a break. I'll come back. More with Justin Barnhart. He's running for House District number 5. More with Justin Barnhart. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back. We are joined via bat line by Justin Barnhart. He is running for House Rep in District number 5. Let's get right back into the conversation, Justin, because number one, I love your voice. You've got that, kind of that Midwestern voice that that soothes my ears. I dig it. Continue on.
Rob. I'm originally from Louisiana State.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
LSU.
yeah. Uh, Here's the difference between LSU and Missouri is that Louisiana didn't pass any Senate Bill 5s down there to give all the stadiums any kind of money.
I know. Isn't that crazy? And
Yeah, it's
you know what
crazy.
happened in that story? Did you pay attention to how the voting went down there? We had 2 staunch conservative Republicans jump ship to make sure that passed with the
I
idea that
was
we were going
down
to
there
freeze
when that
property
happened.
tax values, and now those are going to
Hmm.
be taken out with the severance clause. So it's just the whole thing is a little
Yeah,
bit too shaky for me. But anyway,
yeah.
continue on. I mean, you were
Hey, but Rob, it goes to really for anything, man. When they throw legislation out there, the public hears a paragraph of it, but when you look at the bill, it's that thick, So there's a lot of things in there. In fact, folks will get down there and they'll vote one way or the other, and a lot of times the public gets mad about it. But sometimes, and it's not the public's fault, Rob, but sometimes the information is not um, given to the people or conveyed to the people the right way. So sometimes they're mad at them for reasons that they don't understand because they're not told everything. They get the same thing with Amendment 3, and I keep going back to that because it really it gets to me bad. I just can't understand that. But
well, it's
yeah,
frustrating.
and honestly, yeah, it is frustrating. It's frustrating. But the thing is, we've got to have conservative values back in our house. We've just got to have it. Um, there is no way. Um, and I think I said this earlier, but there's no way that conservative legislation will ever pass, okay, as long as the special interest groups. Now, somebody told me the other day, they said, well, Justin, you'll just never get nothing done in the House and all that because you're too way too conservative with things. Well, listen, the problem that we have right now, Rob, is not necessarily. Here's the biggest problem. I'll just put it like this: we may have a super majority in the House, but we don't have a super majority of conservatives in the
Right.
House. Okay. Now we've got some good men and women down there. I know many of them. This is not a stab at them. I think they're great people. But we just need more conservative values. I would rather. My daddy told me a long, long time ago. He said, "I would rather see you try and fall flat on your face than not try at all." And so that's what I try to tell the people. I can't make promises, Rob, that I'm going to move the world, right? But one thing I can promise you is that I will always, always do what's right. Always do what's right. If something goes wrong while I'm down there, it will not be on account of me. That I can assure you.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that make change in the state of Missouri is, I have the feeling you're in this camp, so I'm going to give you a compliment here. Just my conversation with you. This is the first time we talked, right? Because a lot of times
It
people
is.
want to have conversations with me in advance, and it probably is the wisest thing to do for the radio audience. But I like to make my first impressions as well, right? I don't want to get my first
Yeah.
impression because you're trying to put on a dog and pony show because you want to do a good interview on the radio for political purposes.
Sure.
But I want to just judge what I
Yeah.
see and hear. And you have that vibe to me of somebody who wants to lead. What we don't have enough of, in my opinion, in the state of Missouri, and there are people starting to rise up, but we need leaders. We need people that are going to communicate with constituents, go outside of their district every now and again to tell stories about what they see. So information about how Jefferson City actually works, the engine, the machine, the money,
Yeah.
how it works in Jefferson City is exposed to more and more people. That's what I'm trying to do with my organization that I'm just beginning to start up. But it sounds to me, just based on your rhythm and just a vibe that you get when you meet somebody, you're one of those people that believes God comes first, conservative
Sure.
household, and God's going to lead you on the path that you're supposed to take. And that is,
Sure.
generally speaking, that's where leaders come from. Leaders stick with the man upstairs and they follow the man
Sure.
upstairs and they don't get diverted by money by trying to get along with everybody up there. It's not that you want to
That's
fight with
true.
everybody necessarily, as I'm sure you would agree, but you want to guide them in the right direction. You want to have a personality that guides people to your side of the fence. And it seems to me that's your personality.
Rob, I'll tell you this, man, and I know folks probably say this all the time, and anyone that knows me knows that what I'm about to tell you is 100% truth and facts. Is you can't buy me. You can't. There's not an amount of money in this world to buy me out. You cannot do it. You just cannot. Money has never driven me, Rob. Ever. Not ever in my 36 years. Money has never driven me. But doing what's right drives me.
Right.
Period. Absolutely. And I would say that if I wasn't on the radio right now, I would say that same thing. I truly believe that. That's that's what I am. I mean, that's who I am. That's the way I lead my home. I'm the assistant pastor at the church here in Hannibal. I was the youth pastor prior to that. I was evangelizing prior to that. I've served the disabled in this Ken Ross and Marion County. Doing what's right. That's the way I live. I don't know any other way. But you can't buy me. There ain't an amount of money. There's not a dollar in this world that would cause me to do something that was wrong. Period.
I like hearing that. One more question, because somebody in the app made, she says, he needs to define conservative. When you think of the word conservative, what does conservative mean to you? How would you relay that to the audience?
Yeah, I would simply say this, and I think everyone has their own views of how things work, but in my own way here is, uh, especially when it comes to limited government. I believe in a limited government. Okay, I believe in cutting our taxes. Okay, I believe that the people of this state and across this nation, for that matter, are well and able to take care of themselves without the government interfering with every aspect of their life. Okay, um, and I know this may be a silly example, but if I give you a dollar, don't spend $1.50. Okay, that I'm like that. Okay, so if I give you a dollar, spend 75 cents of it. I am indeed the most conservative person, whether that be financially, politically, spiritually, in my own personal life, in work. I'm the most conservative person in this race. That is a fact. And it makes no, I'm going to say this because it's probably going to get brought up eventually in this campaign. You cannot call yourself a conservative and promote more government subsidies. You can't do that. That means bigger government. To get another subsidy, you need larger government. You need more people. You need more tax dollars. You cannot. So keep that in mind, Rob, as this campaign carries on.
Justin, that's about all the time I got, man. I appreciate you coming on. I'll say the last thing. What you just brought up about subsidies is the thing that bothers me most about the Republicans. I grew up believing that Republicans were fiscally conservative. They did not want to get involved in your lives. Now, people on the other side will talk about abortion. I think conservatives and the people that believe that abortion is terrible for society, right? I think those people think that there is another life involved. People that are pro-choice and they want to have abortions up until the 15 weeks, 18 weeks, 6 months, whatever. They don't recognize the life that is inside of them. So they see you as intruding on their good time. They don't recognize there's a life. So there's a fundamental difference in understanding things. But I believed that conservatives were about small government, getting out of the way of the individual citizen so they could determine their own destiny. So anybody that is in the Republican Party in the state of Missouri that continues to offer tax incentives to this group or that group, or they want to spend money because they want to fix this problem and this problem and that problem, you can find a problem with everything, and you could strip all money from all people if you are going to use it to fix the problems that you deem necessary. What the government should be doing, and I think you would agree with me, is showing people how to live their lives in unison and on their own with the money that they make through their hard labor.
Right.
Justin Barnhart, man, I apologize for getting your name wrong at the beginning. I'm embarrassed by that. I apologize. I'll say Justin Barnhart over and over again to make up for it. Justin Barnhart, District number 5, Marion and Rawls down there in Hannibal. I love that area. Stay in touch, my friend. We'll have you back on again.
Thanks, Rob.
You got it. Have a great day. All right, everybody.
You
Justin
too,
Barnhart. There he is. He is running for office to change what's going on in Jefferson City. Let's keep an eye on him. We'll be right back.